So would you risk it all for a Game 7? Got the official word, unfortunately, for Tyrese Haliburton. He is out for the entire 25-26 season for the Pacers. Of course, tore his Achilles in Game 7 of the NBA Finals. Played through a calf strain in Game 6 after injuring it earlier in the series, and then came back out there again in Game 7. Boom! Achilles gone, and now season gone. And Danny, I just keep asking myself over and over, if that were me, would I think it was worth it? Does Tyrese Haliburton think it was worth it? That one shot at a ring, one game, giving up an entire season coming up here? Is that a fair trade-off for one of the best young players in the league?
I mean, to him it was. I mean, he mentioned it on his honestly tear-inducing social media post when post-surgery and thanking the fans and his teammates and the organization and saying, I would do it again. I would do it for my brothers. I have reached the point with calf strains where, and I mentioned this after it happened, I reached out to about a half dozen general managers in the league. I'm like, basically, I wanted to see if I was out of pocket for this stance.
Okay.
And I was like, would it be crazy to institute a return to play that is similar to the concussion protocol for calf strains? In the sense of, like, you have to meet certain markers.
Because it is such a dangerous injury that could lead to
catastrophic injury and long-term effects. And every one of them in some form or facet said yes.
Okay.
And each one had their own little take on it as far as, like, would depend on the science and what the inputs are from the H&P staffs, from the organizations, from the league. Sam Presti and his media availability basically gave Adam Silver the double barrel, because Adam Silver was like kind of protected the league, so as it were, of like, we can't really make any direct correlations between how much they play and Achilles injuries and all this kind of stuff. And
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, Sam Presti was like, this guy's full of crap. Like, he was like, get a load of this guy. How can you not look at it and not come to that conclusion?
Well, that's the difference as opposed to the concussion arguments. No NFL GMs were doing that. That's actually kind of shocking that an NBA GM feels so empowered to do so.
Well, I mean, look, here's the thing about the Oklahoma City Thunder and why they have been so successful. And there's parts about this that I really like, and there's parts about it that just kind of irk me in a general sense because it goes away from sports. If you look at the titles of Oklahoma City staffers, it is not general manager, assistant general manager. It's like director of biomechanics. Like, they have these. It's very tech bro-y, and the Oklahoma City Thunder are run like a tech firm.
Very jargony, so to speak.
It is very jargony, but they also have an army of people working that organization.
Okay, like more than any other NBA team.
I don't know the exact counts, but they have a lot. And like the diversification in what they do and how they do it is. I mean, the proof is in the pudding, kind of a thing.
Is there a minimum amount of staff that you, like ancillary staff, that an NBA a team is required to hire?
I don't
want to get too far.
No,
off track,
I don't. It's not a question I've ever asked, but like, typically you've got your general manager, you've got a number of assistant general managers. I think generally it's usually 3. Then there's always like the difference between a general manager and a president or a vice president. Like every team has their own recipe about how they do stuff, and then scouts and director of pro personnel, director of college personnel, director of scouting.
That's something I don't think we talk about enough, is the level of staff or the level of support staff. Like, for instance, in MLB, the Rockies are terrible because they're 10 years behind the rest of the league analytics wise, and it sounds like OKC is 10 years ahead of the rest of the league.
I mean, that's one of the reasons they were able to kind of identify Jalen Williams as a guy. He had significant outlier, and again, this isn't the only reason, but like when they identified him, like part of it I've been told was he had significant outlier data come out of P3, which is the Performance Institute. Well, they have one down in Santa Barbara, and like the metrics that he had as far as like what his body could do physically based on the data from that facility was like in the the upper high 5th percentile, like 95th percentile or higher. Yeah. And those kind of things, like there's not at A to B, but there's usually a pretty strong correlation with what they can do and how they can do it. But as it pertains to just circling back to Tyrese Haliburton, it's the one instance. Yeah. It's a literal Game 7 in the NBA Finals. I get it. I'm not mad at him. And again, I've mentioned this before. I have 2 very deeply held beliefs in that if a Blazers can just find a way to score against the Lakers in the Western Conference Finals in 2000, they win an NBA title. that if Brandon Roy, LaMarcus Aldridge, Greg Oden could all stay healthy, they would have won an NBA title. And if Tyrese Haliburton stayed healthy in Game 7, I think the Pacers win that game.
And you got to go for it. I agree with you. I get that there's sort of a debate among some fans. Like, there are a lot of Pacers fans that are pissed that now it seems like the timeline of the team is affected. But guys, how often do you get to a Game 7 of the NBA Finals?
Doesn't happen often. And that's the thing, is like, I don't begrudge that is a choice. That is not a choice that the organization makes. That is a choice that Tyrese Haliburton makes, and that is a choice that he's allowed to make.
Yeah, and he said, to quote him again, "I do it again and again to fight for this city." And my brother's team president, Kevin Pritchard, said if I knew he'd get hurt, I'd sacrifice that game. I want him to have an incredible career. So you hear two different sides of thought here, obviously from the player side compared to the front office side, maybe wanting things to be a little bit more sewn up for the future. But yeah, they've got one of the deepest rosters, if not the deepest bench in the Eastern Conference at least. So there's guys there to make it up for him. Haliburton wasn't scoring a ton of points. Like, does this...
But he enables them to play a brand of basketball
exactly.
that you can't play without him.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing. Is like, it's the secret sauce.
Yes.
And then without that does... And I think that's part of the reason they let Miles Turner go, is that a guy like Miles... Like, it's like Patrick Mahomes in the NFL. Patrick Mahomes is going to make any wide receiver look good. Mm-hmm. Like, if you're a average level wide receiver, you're going to look good on that team.
Tom Brady elevated everybody he played with,
and that's he played with superstar talents like Gronk and Randy Moss. But
Wes Welker was a nobody when he started.
Yeah, it's like Julian Edelman. Like, there's plenty of guys that were very, very successful that found a way. Like, he unlocked things for guys like Miles Turner, and now Pascal Siakam's an All-NBA guy. He's his own deal. And I think Nembhard and Nesmith are very high-level role players. Same thing with TJ McConnell. But, like, what Haliburton does, being both on and off the ball, and how he's able to toggle and get to the rim and get to where he wants to on the floor while being a very high-level shooter, it's just all of the intrinsic stuff. And that part of it for the Pacers, like, they'll be fine. They'll probably be a 500-ish team, maybe a little bit higher because it's the East. But it's the one instance where I'm not taking it out of his hands. And somebody on the text line, when I mentioned the talking to the general managers about as far as the return to play protocol, said, I love it. Take the choice to the player's hand. Any player would play in Haliburton's shoes. And he's right.
Yeah.
And in that instance, which is a very finite instance, is the only one where I'm not doing it.
I mean, you only get so many years, but you also only get so many opportunities to be in the NBA Finals.
I tell you, if you took a poll of every single player in the NBA, every single one of them would say yes.
Every single one?
Every single one of them would say yes. They would play in that game.
All right. I'm not surprised.
They would risk it in that opportunity.
Well, that's the mentality right there.
And I'm telling you right now, if anybody did say no, I would never, ever want that player on my team.
Exactly. That's the mentality right there that you want from your best players. And, yeah, maybe not necessarily highest scoring average per game, but he was the culture, and those heroic moments at the end of games are going to be missed. But, yeah, Indiana going all in. I say it was worth it, although tough. Hopefully they can still hang around in the East this year.